guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. I'm back here at Loki Kia in Clearwater, Florida, and guess what? We have that vehicle that you have been asking for. This is it. This is the 2023 Kia EV6 GT. But before we get into this dual motor, high performance EV, let's talk about what's going on here. Kia, they're on a freaking rampage, going through their lineup like gangbusters. We already brought you the EV9, which is coming later this year, but this EV6 GT, this is the pinnacle of performance from Kia when it comes to true electrification. Now, we already brought you last year the EV6 GT line. Basic, same shape, still twin motors, but less horsepower, less performance oriented. This one is Kia going all in and really trying to gun after the other high performance electric vehicles that are out there. Now, this vehicle is interesting, having that hatchback design with versatility, but now we're looking at well over 500 horsepower and the ability to have a drift mode where you're just using the rear electric motor. Is this, the Kia EV6 GT, the best new performance vehicle to buy? Let's go ahead, let's dive in and find out. Right off the bat, this pearlescent white fits it to a T. At first I was like, is white gonna look good on an EV6? It really helps showcase the body lines and works well with the black accents. Now, just like on the GT line, at the front of the business, you're getting that unique style, much different than what is on the other electrified vehicles. You have your LED turn signals, daytime running lamps, and full LED headlights. On the lower side, you do have this functional corner air curtain, some gloss black. I'm not too crazy about it, but there are worse things to put here. And of course, we have a bit of a splitter to help give us some extra downforce because like I said, this is about performance. Now, as we come across the Tiger Nose Grille, or Kia's also calling this the Tiger Face, because this top portion is not functional. But what they did was they gave it a design that doesn't make it look like an actual grille, but it's better than just gloss black. You got a forward-facing camera. You can see that pearlescent white sparkling like a diamond. And then on the lower portion, very intricate grille design, has a nice concave shape. And if you come in, you'll notice that it's all blocked off. These are active shutters that open and close because remember, we have a liquid-cooled lithium-ion battery pack in the belly of this vehicle that gives it its charge. I love the way that splitter goes from one side to the other, nice and consistent without being too aggressive to where you don't have to worry about ripping it off on one of these parking blocks behind me. But definitely very wide and looking aggressive. Now, when we get up onto the front hood area, it's the same as any EV6. Clean style without looking too much like a weird science experiment that's gone wrong. When you come around the bend, what are we working with? Wheel and tire setup. So what you're gonna get are these 21-inch wheels. Yes, you heard correctly, 21-inch wheel, machine aluminum. I love the way they look like these sickles that are gonna kind of spin around almost like a saw blade with the gloss black. And then you'll notice these massive neon green 6-piston calipers with a 15-inch rotor. So if you ate Domino's last night, congratulations, because this rotor is bigger than the Domino's pizza that you ate last night. And then of course, those lime green calipers are gonna just shed speed quicker than you could make lemonade from some limes and some lemons. Now, you are gonna get different stages of regen braking, and this does have an electronic limited slip diff that simulates what that would be like on a traditional internal combustion engine vehicle. And if you're wondering, well, Joe, what's the size of the tires up front? 255 on the width, 40 series sidewall, and I love the way everything is painted. And it's all about the details. Look at the way they take the headlight housing, wrap it around, and it flows nicely into that body line. Now, as we come down the side, you'll notice we have power folding mirrors, because I have the doors locked right now, with your LED lighting, 360-degree cameras. They do a great job with giving it that different dimension of feel by having the blacked out A-pillars. We do have an oversized sunroof, almost a panoramic style. And then of course those flush door handles and some gloss black, just a little bit along the bottom. Nothing too crazy. Interesting style to this vehicle. You're definitely gonna get people's attention, especially when you rock it off like a bat out of hell when you go on throttle from a dead stop. Now out back, things get a little bit different. So you'll notice brake rotors are a little bit smaller. These are a little bit over 14 inches in diameter, and you don't get the same brake setup on the rear calipers as you do up front, but you are getting the 255 on the width, and like I said, that 40 series sidewall. With the 2 electric motors, you're gonna have all-wheel drive that's gonna allow you to grip this freaking asphalt just like grip tape on a skateboard. As we wrap it around, you'll notice that gloss black flows nicely into the rear fender. Love the way they did this rear spoiler. One thing I would have liked to have seen is like an additional of a kick up on the back, whether it be gloss black or actually create this to just kick up a little bit, just to give it a little bit different look. The problem with this vehicle, it looks too much like the other EV6s. The EV6 Win, the EV6 GT line, all the other ones, they look very similar, obviously, except for the wheels and tires and the brakes. Now at the tail end of the business, you'll see that great, look at that, LED lighting. I like the way they did this dark chrome texturized material. EV6, the Kia badge, and then of course, GT. Now, as we go all the way down to the bottom, very interesting way that they did the rear diffuser, and this is a functional rear diffuser. Look at the way they did the reverse lights. They're like little fingers, like a monster underneath that's coming out that's gonna kill you. And then even the way they did the ridge design, just like up front to tie everything in, they really do a great job with overall cohesive design. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop the hood and talk about performance of this EV6 GT. All right guys, we got the hood open. You do have hood struts. What's nice is that they have a tasteful little lid here, especially with the EV and the silver. You open this up, this is where you're probably gonna keep your charging accessories. You can put Twinkies in there, especially if you wanna get them warmed up a little bit from the sun heating up that compartment as you're driving around. But what are we looking at performance-wise? Basically, what you're looking at are with the 2 electric motors, 576 horsepower, 554 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds. It's got a 77.4 kilowatt lithium-ion battery pack, quarter mile in 11.6 seconds at 120 miles an hour. It's got a top speed of 161 miles per hour. The vehicle weighs 4,772 pounds. And then when it comes to MPGEs, 85 in the city, 74 on the highway. And here is the big zonk. It only has a range of 206 miles, but the good news is you could charge from 10% to 90% on a DC fast charger in just 26 minutes. So that's the good news. And you got regen braking. This closes up nicely. And then of course we just, boom, drop it like it's hot. But why don't we go ahead, let's get inside this thing. But before we do, I gotta turn it on and show it in motion. Let's get to it. We're inside this 2023 Kia EV6 GT. They saved the best for last, coming out with this trim, the high performance trim. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I've been thinking about going electric. I know everybody has their own thought on it, but you know what? I really don't go on road trips, and I really like the instant torque. I was thinking about buying a Mach-E GT, actually watching one of your reviews, Joe, but I think I'm liking this EV6 GT. How much is it? The way that this one is optioned is right at an MSRP of $65,000. Kind of puts it right in alignment with the Mach-E GT and of course the Model Y dual motor performance model. But let's see what you get for the money in this vehicle. To the door panels, loving what they did. Alcantara material, soft touch. There's some gloss black around the door handle, but really you shouldn't be touching that. And then there's a lot of gloss black, which is the zonk right around the switchgear. So I wish they would have done like maybe a silver, something else other than gloss black. You'll notice that we have the Meridian sound system, and I like the way it's lit up, this Meridian surround sound system badge there with the aluminum speaker grille cover. Door pocket is a little tight, so maybe 2 chalupas and a bottle of Coca-Cola to wash it down. Now going from the door panel to the dash, this is what I was telling you about. I wish they would have used some of this around the switchgear. Looks cool, has a nice touch to it. You got your GT badge, you got blue ambient lighting, and then of course you slide in, what do you got? You got 2 12.3-inch screens. Just like on your standard EV6, you're gonna have your range set up here. Obviously you go back to home and you got all of those different icons. Very fast swiping, navigation, the whole shabam, all easily accessible. It's got a nice little curve to it. Let me show you, we gotta do reverse before I forget. Throw it into reverse, super clear resolution, 360, and there we are, and check it out, it's white, just like our EV6 GT. So that's a nice touch. Working our way down, I like what they did with the diagonal ambient lighting. If you're wondering, Joe, why is this here? Because it literally says to be removed by customer only, and I'm not the customer. You are, maybe you'll remove it. I have dual climate in here, nice. You actually just hit, and it's actually better than a lot of the other systems like the Volkswagens and stuff. Very easy to operate and to do while you're driving. And then you have this floating center console area. You only have 3 stages of heated seats and a heated steering wheel, and that's a zonk. I want some ventilation in this thing, especially when you're sweating buckets at the track. A little bit of aluminum silver trim goes a long way. And then down below, you got a flat floor, because this is an EV, USB-A, USB-C, USB-C, and a 12 volt. Plus you got a nice amount of room here for a football signed by Tom Brady. Keep that stored there and show it off to your friends. And then coming back up to the floating center console, we got our rotary control for our direct drive transmission. You do have wireless charging. If you're wondering, why are there holes? It actually has a cooling fan here so your phone doesn't overheat. 2 cup holders. I'm not digging the gloss black. I wish they would have done some of the material from the dash over here. Just like here. You see how this looks good? Put that here. It would look great. Pick it up. You got a room for 3 boxes of Tic Tacs. And then you could easily put, I would say, it's tough to say from just staring at it, but I would probably go 13 to 14 CDs. And you could get them stacked up in there, even though it's not a CD player, just for fun, drive around with CDs. See if people look in there and ask you questions like, where's the CD player? And then guess what? The seats. These are some of the best performance seats. The neon green piping, love the GT badge and that silver trim, the stitching, nice bolstering, manual adjustments for the driver and the passenger. So let me know how you feel about that. But we do have that little bit larger than standard size sunroof, which is a nice touch. But I'm telling you, pretty wild in here. Why don't you come over to the business center? I want to show you behind the wheel of this EV6 GT. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel. Down below, I do like the aluminum sill plate with the Kia badge that illuminates at night. Pedal box is massive just because it's a battery electric vehicle, so you got plenty of room. Aluminum throttle, brake pedal, large dead pedal, but they should have made that aluminum too. WTF, so that's a zonk. There's your manual seat controls, but I'm telling you right now, these sport performance bucket seats are gonna hold you in, and they're actually quite comfortable. They remind me of the seats that are in the Elantra N. And they kind of look like it too, just with the nice touches. Steering wheel, same thing like the seats. You got the stitching just at the top, which is kind of interesting. I actually just noticed that. Didn't notice that before. I wish they would have done some stitching all the way around, but you got your drive mode button plus the GT button. I'll show you what that does in a second. Gloss black on the switch gear is a bit of a bummer because it's gonna have your fingerprints. And then you do have paddles, not for shifting through gears. It's for the regen braking. And then of course you have that large 12.3-inch digital display, clear graphics, all the different modes from eco to sport. I love the way that the graphics change. And then of course, GT mode is when it's ready to rock and roll with this vehicle. Plus, you do also have your corner cameras, which is gonna help keep you safe. So that's another nice touch. And you also have My Drive mode, which you could set up all the preferences for very easily. And then on top of that, a nice large head-up display. I do have to admit, it is nice how they brought that neon green from the brake calipers into the interior. That would have just looked really odd just being on the calipers. But why don't we go ahead and get in the back seat and see where your passengers are probably gonna throw up as you're going 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds in this EV6. Guys, backseat time, and the great news is with the shape of this vehicle, you got plenty of room back here for your passengers, and that may help them not throw up rather than just puking all over your beautiful interior. Now, you do have AC vents nicely placed in the frame rail. No pockets for any barf bags, so make sure that you keep some like in between the seat or something. And you do have 2 USB-Cs, which is a nice welcome touch, especially so they could plug in and charge up their phone while they're filming you for their own YouTube channel or TikTok channel or whatever. Maybe they're gonna do a TikTok dance where they puke all over the back of your EV6 GT. I'm sure millions of people wanna watch that. Me not being one of them. Pull down the armrest. Damn, I'm not saying that because it's soft. It feels like basically a piece of the asphalt was broken off, wrapped in this leather material and then put in here. That's how hard it is. And you do have a really cool kind of magic trick. So you could actually have this be a Twinkie tray or a cup holder. The problem is you can't have both at the same time or you're gonna bust Twinkie cream when you put your drink in there and get cream all over the back of this interior. Puke and cream. Doesn't sound very pleasurable. What is pleasurable is all this great stitching. The Alcantara material is really nice, and they did a good job there. And like I said, the amount of leg room and space is just amazing back here. But let's get into the cargo area and see what we could haul in this EV. All right, guys, time to get in the rear cargo area. I'll show you how to do it fancy, just like that. Opens up, fast opening. That Sportback hatchback design gives you a very generous amount of volume of cargo space. What's nice is that those rear seats do a 60-40 split, and they have the handles right here to make those seats fold down, just like we showed you with the GT line. And what I'll do is, just for the heck of it, I'll leave the link of that review at the end of this one so you can compare the two. It does come up short compared to a Mustang Mach-E GT. So if you're looking at the Mach-E GT, that being a little bit more crossover SUV-ish, has a little bit more room, but I do like where they have the charge port door. So what you're gonna do is you just press right here, it swings open, that's where you're gonna plug in. I like the way it gives you a gauge here, letting you know how much charge you have left, and then you easily just close it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You know what time it is? If you're ready, I'm ready. We could put a pretty good amount of mail in the back, but I wanna see if this thing can go on throttle and how fast it hauls the mail. So let's go ahead, turn this on, and go for a ride in our EV6 GT. All right, guys, we are leaving Loki Kia. We're in the 2023 Kia EV6 GT. Are you ready? On throttle, here we go. I'm telling you, that's one of the things that, especially when you buy or drive your first electric vehicle, that instant torque, it's such a differentiator from an internal combustion engine, especially when you have dual motors and 576 horsepower. Now, what's great is that just like the GT line, you're still getting the same great cockpit area, and you're also getting that ability to adjust the regen braking. Everything is well within reach when it comes to the infotainment system. And then of course, space in here is very generous. Now, it is a little bit more sporty and a little tighter on the passenger volume than compared to the Mach-E GT. But it's interesting how Ford with the Mach-E GT kind of took a little bit different route than how Kia did this EV6. Definitely from a look standpoint, if I had a choice between the two, I kind of like the way the Kia EV6 GT looks. You're not going to confuse it with anything else out on the road. And with 576 horsepower, very, very amazing. These seats, talk about amazing. They hold you in very well. And what's nice is I really feel like you're not gonna, get squeezed like a vice grip driving around every day. They're comfy, but they're supportive. And if you're lucky enough to have some twisty bits on your daily commute, first of all, I'm jealous. Second of all, you're gonna enjoy this seating position and the way the seats are. But one thing I'm very surprised at this price point, shame, Kia, everybody knows your name, is that there's no ventilated seats. That to me, for $65,000 is just outrageous. But I love the dash, especially when you go in that GT mode and it has that green lime color, which is kind of wild. All right, guys, if you're ready, I'm ready. On throttle, here we go, yeah! This thing is a freaking rocket ship, and as you can see, you're gonna surprise everybody, especially those that don't use their turn signal or look in their mirror to get over. And that's the thing you're gonna have to wrap your mind around, especially if you haven't been around high performance vehicles, period, is that this thing hits hard and accelerates faster than what you can wrap your mind around or what other people are gonna think as you're approaching them. Not very often do you see a Kia approaching you at 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds. That's just not the norm. So people around you are gonna have to get used to these vehicles being out there on a higher basis because of the way that they accelerate. It's just, there's no separating this from an internal combustion engine. With the all-wheel drive, it's all grip, no slip whatsoever. I kind of like the way that you could adjust the sound in here. I like the way it's set up stock. It gives it like a cool Tron cycle kind of sound. Also, you'll notice if you heard a little beep, it does give you that warning that traffic is moving in front of you. And there's this blue arrow that flashes to let you know, hey, you need to move forward. But having it in GT mode, you could feel the steering. I wish the steering was just a little bit more communicative. And what I mean by that, I just wish there was a little bit more feedback coming to the front wheels, to the steering wheel, to let me know what's going on. But here's what's going on. On throttle, here we go. Put you back in the seat and you're off. On the brakes. And remember, you can adjust that regen braking. Yes, you can have one pedal operation. Look at that. It just, I'm telling you, it's one of those vehicles that at first it's gonna surprise you. It's gonna feel like you're on a roller coaster. It's just, my thing is, after time, you can only go on throttle so much. I know that sounds crazy for me to say. Hold on a second, Joe. Are you saying you could only go on throttle so much before it gets old? When it comes to an electric vehicle, yes. If I was in my Shelby GT350R, negative on that one. The sound of that Voodoo engine is worth every on-throttle experience. But this, it's fun, it's cool, it's fast, it's new, it's different. But eventually you're gonna get used to it. And that's where there's no soul, so it kind of loses some of its luster a little bit. But for Kia to come out with a vehicle like this, I definitely applaud them, because it is, and as you can see, people in Florida just very interesting on the driving habits of Floridians. But it's very, very amazing that Kia had the guts to create this, because really they didn't have to. I mean, the EV6 GT line has 320 horsepower, and that was plenty quick enough. But this 576 horsepower and the ability to do drift mode, that's a shocker to everybody. And that's a pun intended there. All right, guys, here we go. On throttle, yeah. I tell you, I'm definitely not getting bored yet. But remember, I don't own one of these, so having the experience every now and then it renews itself, the excitement, the fun, and definitely the smile on my face is genuine. You do have a genuine feel. I think one of the things you're gonna notice too is the handling. I mean, this thing handles like nothing but the business. And a lot of it has to do with this being a battery electric vehicle, a BEV. That lithium ion battery pack is low in the chassis, and that's gonna help lower our center of gravity. So it makes sense that these electric vehicles handle well, especially when you put, you know, performance style suspension bits on it. That's just gonna help it even more. Proper tires. I would like to see a stickier tire. I know that sounds crazy, but this one has the Goodyear Eagle F1 tires. I would like to see something stickier. But look at this, I mean, it's very interesting. And like I said, coming from Kia, I know they've surprised us enough as it is with the Telluride, the Stinger GT, a lot of their different models. This kind of just elevates that whole experience. But I don't know about you. We need to get back to Loki Kia and wrap this one up, so I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, it's definitely been an electrifying experience with this EV6 GT. Gotta thank Robert, Danny, and the rest of the crew for getting us access to this pearlescent white performance vehicle. Let me know what you think. Has Kia struck the fine secret sauce recipe better than Tesla's, better than the other brands out there that produce performance EVs with this EV6 GT, especially for the price? Let me know down in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Ladies Rides family. Of course, we need to give it up to one guy and one guy only today, Stephen Flood Photography. Show him some love in the comment section. Thank you, Stephen, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.